Yeah, so I just wanted to start off really sort of a general conversation with you about your sort of background in kickboxing, how you got interested into the sport and how you followed in your dad's footsteps. So if you could just give us some sort of information about that, really, just tell us about your story.
Yeah, so I've had 2 stints in kickboxing, obviously following my dad's footsteps. He's been doing it since he was a kid, basically. We've been running the clubs here in Birmingham for over 25 years now. So obviously it was a natural progression for me. I had a little bit of trouble growing up with people picking on me and stuff, so I had to learn how to look after myself, get some skills behind me. And I had a little spell when I was a young kid, but I wasn't that interested then. I was football mad. I was going to be the next Villa striker. I was going to be the next Fort York. So,
yeah, you could probably still be the next Villa striker, to be fair.
So kickboxing wasn't really a priority when I first started, when I was around 6-7 years old. So I had a little break after that. Played football yourself quite a lot, didn't we? But then I had to transition back into it then when I was about 10 years old. Been doing it ever since then. I've gone all the way from the beginner belts all the way up through to black belt now, and competed a couple of places around the world and run my own clubs now, which is good. So.
And what was that like, balancing full-time training with, like, secondary school? There's a lot of pressure, like 6-7 hours a day, like being bored out of your head at school, like social obligations, and then like, did you have to train after school? Did you go like for runs and stuff before school? Like, what was that? How did that break down for you?
Yeah, it is a bit of a balancing act for sure. Obviously with school you get homework and stuff, so you do have to juggle it around. But used to train mainly on the evenings around 6-7 o'clock for a couple hours a night, so I'd get my homework done, no problem.
And that's every night, is it?
Most nights, most of the evenings. Obviously, the more I got into it, the more it stepped up. Obviously, you have to up your training to achieve what I did. So.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier you've been you travelled to international tournaments. Like, whereabouts have you been?
So my first World Championship was in Germany. So we went to Frankfurt back in 2011, first World Championships. Bit of an experience. Didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I was just like, that must have been mine. Like, honestly, like, you must have been like, what is going on here? Like,
kind of like the demons come in your head thinking, oh, should I really be here? Do I deserve to be here? Sort of thing.
Bit of imposter syndrome. We've spoken about that before in the podcast.
Yeah, so that was kind of going in your head in the lead up to it. But, it's probably the best day of my life, winning, getting my arm raised and getting that gold medal, just took my confidence to a new level. I haven't been the most confident lad growing up. I think that kind of solidified for me that I can actually do this. I'm actually good at this.
I feel like that's we spoke briefly about this in the past on the podcast and stuff, and I honestly think that martial arts should be absolutely compulsory when it comes to school, man. I mean, for like self-confidence, and I think people.
So your second World Championship, where was that? It was that in 2017?
That was 2017. It was actually a home World Championships in Birmingham, so I thought...
Otherwise...
So you were like, I'm not going to lose this one. I ain't going to lose this one in front of my home crowd.
I had a bunch of injuries leading up to it, but I still had it in my head, like, I can't miss it. It's a home World Championships. This could probably never happen again, so the pressure would be intense, but I think that would be one of my proudest moments, with all my fans there and all my family and friends there, like... adds that extra dimension of pressure that I love and thrive on. So, second best day of my life.
And having 2 World Championships and like 6 years apart as well, like that must give your students so much trust in you and what you're telling them. Like, literally, you've been there and done it. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of gyms that can say that with their tutors. I mean, I'm not denigrating anyone who hasn't gone to achieve like ADCC, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's lucky enough or in the right area to get that kind of training. Basically, just get the training you can and progress as best you can. But your students must be like, this is sick. Like, I've got a 2-time world champion as the guy that's teaching me. Like. But I was going to ask you specifically, we're talking about you and your dad's gym.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who wants to get a better insight on how a class goes. So, like, pandemic aside, let's just say someone walks into your gym for the first time. They get, like, their first class. What can they expect from their first class?
So most of all, you get a warm welcome. We're not an egotistical gym by any point. You can be a straight beginner, you can be overweight, you can be 50, 60 years old or 4 years old. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you're willing to train, you're humble, welcome with open arms. So we just talk you through sort of the procedures, obviously introduce the belt system, the route for progression for them. And then just slowly ease into the classes then. we're fortunate that we're building up an instructor team. So when we have new starters come, we get one of our instructor teams to take the new guys to the side, talk them through the basics and not thrown into the deep end sort of thing. Just ease them into it, and then once they feel comfortable, we just enroll them into the main class there.
When you start, is it more shadow boxing, drills?
Yeah, it's basic technique, to be honest. You know yourself doing it. Everything comes from your stance. If your stance is no good, then there's no point doing anything. You're going to be off balance when you punch and kick. So we've real dialed down the basics, basic punches, so jab, you cross, you reverse punch, front kicks, basic defence, and then we put them into little pad drills. And once you get comfortable, get a little bit of confidence in yourself, you can move across there.